The race for a greener future has given rise to a new breed of motorsport. Welcome to Extreme E, an all-electric racing series travelling across the globe, not only to raise awareness of the challenges our planet faces, but to promote diversity and inclusion in sport.
From the deserts of Saudi Arabia, our 9 men and 9 women are now on the Atlantic coast of Senegal for the Ocean X Prix. Staged across a 6.1-kilometre course, the teams will fight side by side on the beach to take glory here in Africa.
Hello and a very warm welcome to Senegal in West Africa, the stunning location for the second event on the inaugural Extreme E calendar.
Yes, we are on the Atlantic coast, around 40 kilometres south of Senegal's capital city, Dakar, at the famous Lac Rose. The course the driver will be racing on starts on the beach, heads down through the dunes, through the woods just behind Lac Rose, back into the dunes, more bumps, more jumps. Jenny, really looking forward to this one.
Yes, such a different place to come to than last time out in Saudi Arabia, but beautiful and challenging. And this is going to be a very technical challenge, focusing, of course, on the ocean.
So if you're new to Extreme E, here is all you need to know. Well, you saw some fantastic pictures there from our first round at Al Ula in Saudi Arabia. We move on now to Lac Rose in Senegal, down the coast here of the Atlantic Ocean. Literally, this is beach straight, which takes the drivers from the start line, turn 1 almost immediately after that start line. Then this enormous run down, Jenny, to the cut, which is where they head in. And this course is so much more technical than Saudi was. All that course is going to be different. This one's really tight and twisty.
Yeah, it's a real contrast to last time out. As you can see, lots of smaller undulations where you're going to have to understand how your car works, the suspension, and it's a real rough ride at points as you go inland and towards what is going to be one of the really extreme sections, which is the Mogul Run, just hugging along the tree line there, Andrew.
Yeah, stay with us for the Mogul Run. You'll see some of the drivers today have had an interesting time, let's say, heading through that section. The woods as well. If you took a look yesterday at the preview map, which appeared on YouTube, an onboard of the entire course, you can go and seek that out if you head to Extreme E's social media channels. It was a whole lap on board. That section, Jenny, so narrow, it's going to cut up, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. This is the back straight then, as mirrors along the beach, but instead of being flat and quite easy to drive, you'd say this one a lot more challenging. Up, down, left, right, picking your line, making sure that is the way you want to tackle this course.
It's properly three-dimensional, this place, it really is. You can risk it and you can make up some time, and the speed is not as high as we saw in Saudi, but I think we are going to see the potential for people rolling cars if they're not careful. So when do you risk it? How much for? How much time can you make up? Yeah, do you risk it in qualifying, or do you leave that until later on in the weekend? So you know where we are, you know what Extreme E is. This is how it works. The best straight ever in motorsport, but there is still the potential here to make mistakes with the ups and downs, but also to make up time if you're willing to take those risks.
This, our third team out, Lewis Hamilton's team with Sébastien Loeb and Cristina Gutiérrez. And it was Sebastian Loeb who took the wheel first, and he wanted to give a demonstration, I think, going out there and picking his lines, choosing what he wanted to do, using this as a tester really for the rest of the weekend. But also, as you can see there, just down in the bottom right where the timing sector is a purpley pink, a nice colour down there, it shows they were in the #1 position, going just over 8 seconds faster than anybody else at this point.
Yeah, very much a recce run for all the teams this morning. Me and Jenny were lucky enough to see the entire runs, and Loeb was super committed. Gutierrez as well. This was one of the areas where some of the drivers were trying alternate lines, using the undergrowth down the side of the track to see if they could maybe find a little bit more traction. How hard can you go over some of those crests? The alternate lines left and right, is it quicker? It's been an interesting day, Jenny. Also some practice starts, meaning that although we had timing running during the session, some of the times don't quite indicate, do they? And we wonder also potentially a little bit of sandbagging from some of the teams. X44 up next. Lewis Hamilton's squad, Sebastian Loeb and Cristina Gutiérrez, challenging all weekend last time in Saudi before they then had a slight issue with the car in the final. Power steering meant that they weren't able to be in the mix for the win. They will want to be in the mix here this weekend, and I'm expecting them to challenge at the top of the table. Have a look. Super sector, right-hand side, look, Rosberg racing the fastest through there. That's the middle sector of the track, and any driver in any session can take that super sector prize. It's 5 championship points. This man would be a good bet. Sebastian Loeb, 9-time World Rally champion. I'll tell you what, you wouldn't bet against his teammate Gutierrez either, because she was absolutely rapid in Saudi. Jenny, it's so close at the top of the table, but I'm expecting these guys to slot in up there as well.
Yeah, let's see what they can do, because this is going to be a fascinating matchup, because everybody at the moment is so close. Look at the timings of the top 3. Not a lot to separate them, bearing in mind it takes almost 11 minutes to go around this track. Well, almost exactly 11 minutes. So let's see, what can Sebastian Loeb do? He's already in a live position of #1. He's going the fastest out there. Lewis Hamilton will be watching on as the team boss, hoping that both Loeb and Gutierrez can really set out the start of a very good weekend.
Well, Loeb quickest at the moment already, just a quarter of a second in it, but the sign of the class, the guy. There is a passenger seat, no co-driver. Of course, Loeb will have been used to a co-driver for his entire career in rally, and then moving on to Rally Raid as well. Don't forget, another driver who's been competing in the Dakar, competed this year. Co-driver this time, Gutierrez, not sharing the car physically, but will be jumping in soon.
Yeah, and that union between the two, so important, as we've already seen from Taylor Christopherson, from Kleinschmidt, Ekstrom. You've got to work together in this championship to get the best out of the car. Setup, compromises, seating compromises, all of those things come together. You've got to make sure your best starters in the car when you want them. All of these things, it's a thinking person's game. Going through the June section and the Mogul Run, 10 and 11, you get a little bit of air sometimes. Just see how the cars deal with these, all slightly different.
If the teams who made the final last time make the final again, it will be fascinating, because they've all chosen to go with the driver who started the final last time to start the semi-final, Jenny. Meaning that when come the final, it will be their teammates who are in the car, and that's going to be brilliant. So we're going to see a semi-final clash, which is only going to see 2 of those teams go through from each semi, then 4 cars into the final. We could potentially see 4 drivers who have slightly less experience than the stars. That, for me, is great, because it's equal. It's going to be equal between them. Yeah,
a few changes to the rules this weekend, but good changes that mean the championship is pressing on. Nothing stands still for too long in this game, and we heard earlier, didn't we? Everybody is loving watching these cars, is loving watching the drivers, the versatility that they're having to show, and Loeb showing exactly why he is one of the best in the world. Time difference coming up now. He's over 2 seconds ahead of Ekstrom and his time when he was out there. So let's see how he handles this section. Lots of different lines. He's going wide right. We've seen people go through the middle. People go to the left as well. He'll cross over now. Oh, look at that.
It's quick,
beautiful.
Jenny. It's quick. They took another couple of tenths of a second there, so that he was up about 2.5. Clips the 23 flag. It just about stays up, so you can clip it, no problem. You knock it down, you get investigated. But there was definitely a half second there, and the other teams won't have missed that. They'll just be watching and go, okay, maybe that line's better.
I just wonder how easy it is to try and replicate the line of somebody else. If you're used to driving a line, if you've done that in practice and shakedown, and all of a sudden you see there's a huge advantage, or a small advantage in this case, because they're all so close together, how easy it is to go, oh, I know, I'll do that too.
They'll be noting the gate numbers, and I think that will be what the drivers will do, is they'll look and they'll say, okay, what did Loeb do through here? Why was he half a second quicker? Sometimes it's just a little bit more commitment on the brakes, or over a crest, a little bit more risk taken. But those alternate lines, it won't be missed by the top teams, definitely. The teams who are on it will be watching for those alternates and thinking whether or not it might work for them.
So you can see 29, 30 on the flags. That helps us know exactly where they are out on the course. 33, the last one of the last flags they'll go through. So this, the deep sand section, the sand flicking up from the right of the car as he goes down, nails this, a double right-hander towards the Atlantic Ocean, and then the fast run down to that switch zone where Gutierrez will be waiting for him, and they'll want to try and make sure there are no mistakes, no infringements, no penalties for speeding when they go in there, on the limiter hard, on the brakes hard. And you can just see that line they're taking. It won't stay there for long for anyone else to copy, because the waves and the wash will come and take it all. Through the water he goes. Love it.
Loeb up to the switch zone. He was about 3 seconds up as he approached the final sectors. That's late on the brakes by Loeb. You saw a big puff of sand just as he locked up in the final part of that zone. Sand is so hard to judge the brakes on because you bury the nose of the car in it and it will suck the pace out of the car very quickly. So you can brake a lot later than you think, but you cross that 30 sign going quicker and you're going to end up getting a penalty. 2 seconds up, Jenny.
What a marker that has laid down in the sand, quite literally. So Loeb comes in, Gutierrez just holds. They make sure that they actually hold her. She's got her seat insert ready to go. Those glasses that wrap around, just showing beautifully the sea, and Loeb powering out of the car.
Practically falling out the car, wasn't he? Dived out the side of the car like he was on a skydive, but he got the job done.
This very indicative of like a world endurance race where the driver getting out helps the driver getting in, make sure they're established. 40 seconds on the clock to remind you. Super sector up, and so far X44 have just set that fastest so far of the weekend.
That's really quick on the change there. I would say the quickest driver change we've seen, and you can see Gutierrez having plenty of time now just to sit and gather her thoughts and get ready to go. Releases the car. You can see as well that they've put the elastic bands on the belt, going from her waist back to behind the seat. That's a band which pulls the belts off.
On the track, but no big mistakes. It was good.
It was good.
It was good, indeed. It was very good. They're 1.2 seconds up as they leave the switch zone. Timo Scheider, I believe, is still with us out in Senegal. Timo, if
yes, I am.
Yeah, you're there. Okay, so Timo, talk to us about those alternate lines. You're one of the drivers who's helped to set this track up. Oh, so sad to see the waste on the beach there, issues to deal with. But yeah, the alternate lines, are we going to see people being able to race through the middle section of the track? Because that's what we think here.
Well, basically, I think there are a few options, so it's not 100% clear where you have to go. That's the nice thing. This is what we're trying to focus on, to give different options, to have options, and especially for Sunday race, when we have like 4-car races, for sure you will see different lines, and for sure this takes a bit of time to analyze the right direction. It's not 100% clear all the time, and this is something I really like to see. That was one of our focus after Saudi Arabia. So let's see what they will choose on Sunday. But this is for sure a big challenge. They analyze everything by video they have done on the recce, let's say on the track walk, track drive, and then they have the onboards now from rollout and stuff. So I saw a couple of drivers still this morning at breakfast analyzing different lines.
You can see there 3.76 seconds, and the difference goes up again. So they're really pulling the pace now, and they're leading the way with in first position going down the jump section. And Daniel Abt also in the commentary box with us. Daniel, there are some big names attached to this championship, the likes of, we've already seen Nico Rosberg in the command centre, Lewis Hamilton's team here as well. The pressure is on these drivers, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely. Big names, big teams, big drivers, but also some younger ones, and I'm always a big fan of seeing young people star and get a chance. And I feel like last time already in Saudi Arabia we've seen Katie Munnings, you know, and just the young ladies really doing amazing stuff out there, and I love these kind of stories, and I think the mix is what makes this championship really exciting.
Gutierrez is pushing so hard. She found a couple of seconds in the double right-hander at the back of the course as they headed into the moguls. The gap went up from 0.3 seconds to 5. She finds another 2 seconds there, burying the underguard of the car, and another second again. Gutierrez is absolutely flying on this lap. Guys out there in Senegal, what are you seeing? How is she taking this time off the others?
Yeah, she's taking a lot of risk, and you saw the big drops. She went just more or less flat, so she jumped to the flat part after the drop. So that's a lot of commitment she's taking, but we knew she will be quick. She was quick in Saudi. She's doing a lot of X-rate stuff, so she is probably the one to watch her. if you are focusing on the girls.
10 seconds quicker now, nearly 11. Gutierrez is flying, using all that Dakar Rally experience to great effect here. Picking her lines, picking the crest, carrying that pace perfectly.
Yeah, stage winner this year. Following in the footsteps of Jutta Kleinschmidt. What can she do here? I think she might knock them off the top spot. So you can have an inspiration and idol, but when you can beat them and show them, what an amazing opportunity.
We were seeing 3 cars within a couple of seconds of each other. We then saw Kleinschmidt and Ekstrom go just that little bit quicker. But Loeb and Gutierrez here for X44 are resetting the benchmark big time.
Yeah, you really feel like the pressure's going to be mounting on the next 3 cars that are going to come up. But let's take a look at what Gutierrez can do. This is a bit of masterclass, isn't it? She's showing exactly how you can take this Odyssey 21, a heavy car, 1,780 kilograms of a car, but she's handling it beautifully around this course, which, let's face it, she's had very little time on so far. This is the first qualifying session, so doing an amazing job out there.
It's that Dakar Rally experience, isn't it? Covering hundreds of kilometres in a day, only ever seeing any section of the course once. She's reading the road beautifully, reading the camber, reading the crest, just how much pace she can carry. Big armful of opposite lock. Round the right-hander now, 9.73 seconds up. This is a great drive by Gutierrez on the back of Sebastian Loeb, and she's going to be flat out now down to the line. They're going to go fastest, Jenny.
Yeah, they certainly are. They are setting the new benchmark here in this amazing backdrop of Senegal. Look at her going through the finishing line. She's going to absolutely nail this, and what an impressive display from Gutierrez and Loeb. 10 seconds ahead of everybody else. Let's go down, get an interview. Layla is there for us, pit lane reporting. Let's have a listen to what she's got to say.
You've just received a round of applause here at the command center, Seb. A brilliant run.
Yeah, I think we did a good run. I pushed hard, no big mistakes. Christina did a great job too, so at the moment we are leading. Still 3 cars to come, so we don't know, but I think we should be in the semi-final one. That would be a tough fight to get to the final.
I'm sure that's exactly what you wanted. Some words on Gutierrez and her commitment there in that lap.
Sorry?
Some words on Gutierrez and her commitment in that lap.
Yeah, she did very well. She was stressed before the start when she saw the other driving. She had the pressure, and finally I think the pressure was good for her. She pushed really hard, did a great job, so really happy. Good start for the weekend.
Great performance under pressure. Thank you very much.
Well, that is Q1 done here in Senegal. Sebastian Loeb and Christina Gutierrez, P1 after the session. Absolutely brilliant drive by them. Tell you what, though, all to play for. Super close at the top of the table.
X44 qualifying leaders, Seb, Loeb here. Is this exactly the start you wanted from the Ocean X Prix?
For sure, we couldn't have a really better start than this. We are leading we won the qualifying one. Now it will be very important to do a good qualifying too. But the start is great. Christina did a great run too, so we were both in a good rhythm. And so it's looking good at the moment, but the fight will be intense.
You've been here in the command center watching your competitors' runs very closely. What are your thoughts on your opponents?
I think we have Leduc and Price, which are really strong. Leduc is pushing really hard, Sarah is very fast too. So, but also the other with Christopherson, we know that he's able to be very fast. You see now the team with Ekstrom and Jutta Kleinschmidt, which is also very strong. So it's important to do a clean run, not to lose too much time, because it will be quite close, I think.
Certainly could be close. Sebastian Loeb there, and they are X44 leading the standings. Then Leduc and Price and Ekstrom and Kleinschmidt. What a fascinating combination of drivers. It was actually Carl Leduc setting 2 of the fastest sector times, but Loeb Gutierrez doing enough with one of the fastest sectors to go top. They'll hope to carry that over to the next section.
brilliant stuff from Q1. For me, I think what's really interesting is we've got two of our top 3 teams from last time out right at the bottom of the table. Certainly in terms of qualifying in Saudi, the science team have had a shocker there at the bottom with Andretti as well. And at the top of the table, we've got the 2 teams who had the worst weekend in Apt Cupra and in Chip Ganassi Racing. So we know they can threaten for the pace, but they've got to catch up with X44. It's brilliant. It's so close. Can't wait for more. So this was the top run from X44. Sebastian Loeb taking the seat for the start. That means that he'll be taking the seat, of course, in the semi-finals at that point. So they put Loeb in for the start there. I mean, I think either of them could take the start, to be fair. Gutierrez, so impressive on the second lap.
Yeah, really impressive from the duo, just showing how much teamwork is so essential in this championship. The sand kicking out from that lovely purple car. Lewis Hamilton's team, Loeb, Gutierrez, handpicked by him to go into this car and see what they can do to challenge our top standings at the moment, Rosberg and Rosberg ex-Rosberg team. So there's a little grudge there.
Yeah, RXR, Christopherson and Taylor didn't end the session as high up as we might have expected them to. Say they were edged by Apt Cupra with Jutta Kleinsmith in with Ekstrom, and then by Chip Ganassi Racing. So we really have got some super quick drivers. The drivers we weren't sure about how quick they were have ended up really quick right up at the top of the table. But Gutierrez, so impressive on that second lap. It is very much advantage X44, but we've got a whole nother session of qualifying to come later on today.
Yeah, the reason we're here, of course, the Ocean X Prix, to highlight the warming of the oceans and also the plastic pollution. So let's find out a little bit more about this beautiful backdrop.
Cars waiting to head out next is X44, Sebastian Loeb, and his teammate Cristina Gutiérrez. They were so impressive last time. They're top of the table and they're away. So their time was a 10:47.2. At the minute, that would be 20 seconds quicker than Ekstrom and Kleinsmith went in this session. Now, the track could have got slower, Jenny, and looking at the times, I would suggest maybe it is slower in places. But Cristina Gutierrez, how impressive was she on her lap in Q1?
Tell you what was interesting as well, so every driver has to alternate with starts, and actually Gutierrez looked pretty decent off the start line then. I was quite impressed with that, so I'm looking forward to seeing how this develops as we go through the weekend and how that strategy dictates where we go with the racing. Yeah,
for me, it's going to be more about, obviously, getting off the line is going to be really important. Some people are going to get it right, some will get it wrong. That's a combination of settings and what you do with the throttle as you head off the line. But I think what's going to be really interesting is how do you deal with the racing. And that's what's interesting tactically, isn't it? Is which driver has which team chosen to put in based on do they think what will they do in the starts. Gutierrez and Loeb, I mean, Loeb's done touring cars, world touring cars, so yeah, he's got some starting experience, but I think Gutierrez is well up for some door-to-door action as well.
Yeah, I'd say so, definitely. Gutierrez taking this course and really throttling everything she can. You can see purple sector, they are 14.69 seconds up in the first position at the moment. So really good going out there. Nice pace this afternoon. They're certainly not looking like they're giving any time away anywhere at the minute.
You can hear, listen to the thumps on board when the car lands. You can hear how physical it is. Listen to this. There, you can hear it. You can just, and again, the impacts, and that's on the car and on the driver. And part of this is driving the car, Jenny, to the limit, but not to the point where you break it. We heard from Daniel Abt saying the same thing, you know, the Ekstrom had potentially in the first session, after they saw some issues for some of the other teams, they said, you know what, wind it in a bit, let's not have to reset the car out on the course, and then we'll go a bit harder in the second session. On the other hand, we saw Leduc full risk the whole time, no issues at all.
Yeah, you've got to work out what works for you, haven't you, as a driver, as a team. Oh, look at it, the back end just twitching there a little bit, and as you say, banging across those twigs and trees on the left-hand side, those deep ridges, meaning it's impossible, really, to alter the line that you take. It's dictated to you. You
don't want to pop out of those ruts either, Jenny. We haven't seen anyone do it so far, but if you lose the front wheels, if they don't get into those ruts and you jump on the gas, you'll be straight off to the trees on the outside of the corner. Gutierrez coming through.
You can actually see the change in the colour of the sand. Where it's very orangey, that's where it's quite loose and being kicked up and constantly churned over. The lighter coloured stuff, slightly kind of, it's not the bit where it's taking all of the impact from these cars.
Look at her throttle trace at the top right of your screen, how much she's on and off the throttle. Although it's not using the brake at all, she's having to come on it. There, tiny bit of brake, look, settle the nose. Here, no brake. That's 100% throttle over the crest, dropping into the sand. Now just a bit of brake, bit of gas. She'll have left foot on the brake, right foot on the throttle, and just be balancing the rotation of the car. Also, even in the air, you can change the angle of the car in the air with what you're doing with the throttle and the brake.
Going to the left-hand side of that bush, then she'll hug round, going in through between these flag markers, and this a little bump up.
It's fascinating seeing it on board, Jenny. We're seeing a completely different angle than we normally see through that section. I think you get a much better idea of how little visibility they have over the crests, and there will be a degree here of trying to learn the track, but it's 6 kilometers long. So you're trying to, is this the crest that's flat? Is it not? And they'll have some visual markers for that. Of course, they've also got the numbered gates too. Bit sideways through there for Gutierrez, but at the minute, taking a couple of seconds off. They're extending the margin. It was 15 earlier on. They're on for the top qualifier position, which is why it's pink, bottom right of your screen. Doing a brilliant job.
They had quite a lot of haze this morning out there, and I think it was quite hard to actually see where you were going, to pick out the definition of those dunes and to really understand it, and that light has totally shifted now. So they're dealing not only with a different course because of the sand moving, but the sun moving and coming round. Even the tide coming in makes it feel very different to this morning.
I'm loving this track. Timo Scheider, track designer, I think can be very pleased with himself for this one. The Saudi was great fun, but yeah, this is a brand new series. We're going to learn everywhere we go. I just can't even quite contemplate. There's the Atlantic Ocean off the coast of West Africa. What's it going to look like when we're racing in front of a glacier? I'm so excited for the different venues, and I think as well they're going to tweak the track layouts, and this one is a banger in my opinion.
It's absolutely brilliant, and you know, the messaging behind Extreme is so relevant here. We can see the plastic just lying around on the beach, so these are all things that we're looking to try and highlight. People say, why are you taking a motorsport series to somewhere which, you know, is fragile? It's because this is getting eyes on the problem. It's getting a conversation started, and it's a conversation that's long overdue. Into the switch zone for X44.
Yeah, completely agree with you, Alton, Jenny.
Conversation as well that Lewis Hamilton, who owns this team and founded this team, is so keen to have. He's really into the environmental stuff now. He's into diversity, he's into inclusion, equality. All of these things matter to him, which is why he wanted to get involved in Extreme E.
You know what, they matter to me and to you, and they should matter to everyone. If I'm really honest, I'm like more of a motorsport guy, and that was my initial interest in this series, was, you know, to get to commentate another fantastic series. Couldn't hear what Christina was saying there, but I'm learning as well, and you know, it's okay. I think it's okay to say, you know what, I wasn't really aware of those issues. It's fine. I hope you guys will learn along with us too. Look at that in the background. That's such a great backdrop. Takes the seat insert. Little handle on the side of the seat insert there. I like that detail.
That's clever, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just thinking about, okay, how can we make life as easy as possible? And this is efficiency. That's what motorsport is sometimes about.
And a good way to grab it as well. Remember, they're wearing gloves, so when they reach into the car to try to pull the seat insert out, that little red handle, which you could see, she was able to whip the insert out easily.
So, handing from Gutierrez over to Loeb. Let's see what he can do. He puts the full power on. Will he use hyperdrive now? That's the question. Get the wheel spin out the way, as Andrew said earlier. And look, there's Gutierrez just taking balaclava off.
You can hear it in the background. You hear the RPM rise immediately. Daniel Apps is out there for us. Look at that, 21.67 up. Daniel, we're pretty confident we can hear that most of the drivers are using hyperdrive on this front straight, the beach straight. You can hear the RPM rise, can't you?
Yeah, definitely, and it's a big difference in power. So it's not like a little boost. It pushes you into the seat. It's a completely different animal all of a sudden. Unfortunately, it's not so long, so then it goes back to normal. I think as a driver, you'd be like, oh, I wish this was longer. But yeah, I think it makes most sense to do it on that first straight. You can always opt to do it on the back straight also, but I think most of the drivers definitely do it after the start once they have the traction.
I was going to say, when's the optimum time in your mind? Do you go from the time or the feel of the car or the distance? Is there a marker point you're looking for?
No, I think as a driver you need to have a feeling of if your car has full grip in terms of is there still traction issues, is there still wheel spin, because you can never tell, you know, after the start is never the same, the track is never the same. So even if you had a marker, things would change. So you as a driver, you need to feel when the timing is right, when the car is ready, and then push that button.
Yeah, that's what we said earlier on, that we felt a couple of the teams were taking it slightly too early. If you can still hear the RPM peaking, that's likely to be a bit of wheel spin. Loeb late on the brakes, chucks the X44 machine nose heavy off the crest. Now, if they take this session, I'm trying to see how far up they were. They were 4 seconds up the road from Segi TV Chip Ganassi, so it's definitely not done until we see that car head out on track. RXR were a further 12 seconds back. So at the minute, I think this is going to be a 2-car fight for the top qualifier spot between X44 and Segi TV Chip Ganassi. It would be a second top qualifier spot for X44. It would be a hell of a comeback from Chip Ganassi, Jenny. So thank you, Daniel. It's a great story for us either way, isn't it?
Absolutely, certainly is. Just look at Loeb and look at the time. You can see almost 24 seconds up now, definitely in the first place. So this is a real battle. It's a real fight between these big guns that we have, the big team players that we have, and it's going to be fascinating. This car, the next car, will be a huge call.
Right, Loeb's just gone quickest in the first sector, and that's a whole bunch of the flags, the waypoints that you can see around here. You can see he's nearly 25 seconds up, but he's gone quickest of anybody so far in this session. He is on a mission through here, threading the eye of the needle. That's the camera that got taken out earlier on today.
Almost did it again.
Yeah, about as close as you can get. I reckon the camera's been moved back a bit, Jenny, definitely. Over the crest. Look at the inputs. It's super smooth despite the car being thrown around. Braking hard, pops up over the crest. We've seen people attack that a little bit harder. Loeb, though, may be looking for the traction immediately afterwards. If you're in the air, you can't put the power down. It's about whether carrying the speed over the crest is better or getting the car on the ground earlier and accelerating away is quicker.
Yeah, at the moment, the fastest time is set by Rosberg X Racing, Molly Taylor and Johan Kristoffersen, but this looks like it's going to smash it.
Yeah, this looks like somebody's been studying where Sebastian had his eyes, didn't he, on Kyle LeDuc. He said that. He said in his interview, Kyle LeDuc and Sarah Price look really quick. Daniel App said to us earlier on, everybody will have been watching that section. We've looked at the intermediates for in between each of these waypoints, and it was LeDuc's run was insane.
He was certainly on a mission. He went fastest in so many of those mini sectors. It'll be fascinating to see how Loeb is in comparison to that in this run compared to that. And of course, we have that Segi TV Chip Ganassi Extreme E racing car coming up next. Oh, look, Gutierrez looks really nervous. They know that it doesn't matter what it says on the screen. Yes, they're up 27 seconds at the moment, but what comes next is what matters, and she can't do anything about that.
No, Loeb's done a brilliant job. So has Gutierrez. They're looking on for the top qualifier spot, 27.8 seconds up as they come down to the finish line, flat out over it, and they go P1.
Oh, he carried some speed.
Massive margin. But it's the people that are up next they've got to watch out for. It's Sarah Price and Kyle LeDuc for Chip Ganassi, Segi TV. Can they do anything to stop Loeb and Gutierrez taking that top qualifier spot? It's a brilliant drive by them. Let's hear from Christina Gutierrez, who is in the command center now.
Christina, you've completed your qualifiers in place in P1 with 27 seconds. Fantastic run. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I feel good at the moment. We need to see the rest of the teams. It's soon to say something, but I'm happy to see this job because especially this lap, it will be really, really tough for everyone. Sorry. So we'll see in a few moments.
And what were your emotions out on the course? Because we know it's changing and developing quite a lot.
Yeah, all the time you need to stay on the wood line because it's getting worse each time. So it's a track difficult.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We wouldn't make it too easy for anybody, would we? First team to dip under 11 minutes. Congratulations, first place at the moment, Gutierrez and Loeb.
Well, here are the standings at the end of Q2, and it's Loeb and Gutierrez for X44 that take the top qualifier spot again here in Senegal. Then Christopherson, Taylor, Ekstrom, Kleinsmith will be in Semi 1, 4 to 6, Semi 2, 7 to 9, the shootout.
It's all about legacy programs here as well, so let's find out more about the long-lasting impact that we can have.
Bueno, estamos muy contentos porque realmente estaba complicado el tramo, especialmente en la segunda parte, porque estaba ya totalmente diferente que en la primera, pero muy contentos porque hemos mantenido un ritmo muy constante, conservador a la vez, y al final hemos hecho una buena posición, que hemos ganado la clasificación, con lo cual estamos contentísimos, pero mañana toca lo gordo y bueno, habrá que ver.
¿Es ir lo más rápido posible o no necesariamente?
A veces no, a veces es mejor tomar cierta precaución en ciertos sitios, viendo lo visto, y bueno, hay que ir viendo la pista cómo va avanzando también, que es importante, y bueno, a ver si hay suerte.
Hello and a very warm welcome to West Africa and the Ocean X Prix, the second event in the very first season of a brand new sport, Extreme E. A racing series for state-of-the-art electric SUVs. I'm Andrew Coley and I'm joined in the commentary box here by Jenny Gow.
Thanks, Andrew. And it's all happening here on the beautiful Atlantic coast of Senegal. About 40 kilometres northeast of the capital city, Dakar. A place, of course, that knows a thing or two about motorsport.
It does indeed, but if this is your first time to motorsport or your first time to Extreme E, quick refresher course I think is in order since the first event in Saudi Arabia back in April. Here is what it's all about. On to X44, Lewis Hamilton's Extreme E team, Sebastian Loeb, the 9-time World Rally champion. Also, of course, the Dakar competitor was flat out, but it was his teammate, Cristina Gutiérrez, who was super impressive on her lap in Q1. They went straight to the top of the timesheets. On to Q2, and RXR were looking for more pace. They made some settings changes to the car. It was a wild ride for Molly Taylor, and she, as she handed the car over to Christopherson, said, watch out for the kickers, they're really bad. Christopherson committed in the last part of the lap. They ended P2 overall. Chip Ganassi Racing, so much promise from them in that first session. Carl Leduc again was flying, green sectors everywhere, and then the car ground to a halt. Desperate times as he tried to get it running again. They lost more than 3 minutes. In the end, he did manage to get the car back for his teammate Sarah Price, but they lost so much time they ended up down in P7. No such problems for X44. Another stunning run by Gutierrez and Loeb. Super quick, looking unstoppable out in the dunes, particularly with the issues for some of the other front runners. They would win both sessions of qualifying here, and crossing the finish line, it will see them take the top qualifier spot for the second round in a row. Fantastic performance by both Loeb and Gutierrez. Confirmation then of the results here at the end of qualifying. Loeb and Gutierrez at the top of the table for X44, Christopherson, Taylor, then Ekstrom and Kleinsmith. P4, 5 and 6 go into semi-final 2, 7, 8 and 9 into the shootout.
Well, Extreme E scientists are keen to foster a better understanding of the dangers that climate change poses to our oceans and then to us. Here's Dr. Lucy Woodall to explain a little bit more about Extreme E.
Well, there is the St. Helena, the virtual St. Helena, off the coast of Lac Rose in Senegal. We're having a little fly-in over the track here, Beach Straight, Jenny. I think Beach Straight might be my favourite point of the circuits we've been to so far. Saudi Arabia was awesome, but a straight on the beach looks good to me. Kind of looking forward to seeing what we're going to come up with for the rest of the season as well. But that is the track on which we are about to do battle. Let's take a look and see who's made it through to the semis. So semi-final number 1, Johan Christopherson and Molly Taylor for RXR. They won the first round, of course. Sebastian Loeb and Cristina Gutierrez for X44. Top qualifiers here. They were brilliant yesterday. And Matthias Ekstrom and Jutta Kleinsmith. Jutta Kleinsmith won the Dakar here 20 years ago. Can she get that car through to the final with Ekstrom and repeat the glory? So Sebastian Loeb's teammate Cristina Gutierrez is down there waiting for her drive. We can go and have a chat with her now.
3 minutes.
Christina, your teammate is there on the start line, ready to go. How are you feeling?
A little bit nervous, but it's a difficult semi-final because we are the best driver in the qualification, so it's not easy. So we'll see, we'll see. It's difficult, but not impossible.
Yesterday, you both had phenomenal performances. Today, the track has changed a little different to yesterday. Have you gone out and had a look at how the changes are?
I don't know. I think the track is much more difficult than yesterday, so we need to stay with the calm and with not make a lot of mistakes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Lovely to hear from Cristina Gutierrez there. So the changes they're talking about is the evolution of this course, because the sands are ever shifting, as is time, and that means that as we've gone through the days, it does change because the sand builds up in different ways. The ridges, the ruts, they're really deep now.
Some of the crests have changed markedly if you look at them. So the crests have actually been knocked off the top. So where it was a pointed crest into a big dip, you've knocked the sand off the top and rounded off the crest, and that's actually then rounded off the dip as well as the sand has gone down. You see that particularly over gates 10 and 11 up at the back of the course. It's going to be tricky, whatever. You know, the bumps haven't completely flattened out, and I would argue the course is definitely slower than it was. There's the super sector, of course, which is in the middle of the track, which is where all the drivers can grab an extra 5 championship points if they set the fastest time in that sector. And Carlos Sainz really tried yesterday, Jenny, in the last run of Q2, and he couldn't do it. Yeah. So I think that the ultimate pace of the track has gone. But, of course, it doesn't really matter now. It's the same for everyone. We're racing against cars, not against the clock.
Worth saying, this is 2 laps in the semi-final. So first driver goes off, then second driver, and the top 2 cars go 3. Let's go and hear from Jutta Kleinschmidt. She's down there.
Jutta, this has all been very last minute for you. We've seen you jump in as a reserve driver, and I've seen you just now with your eyes closed, taking a moment to focus. How is focus this morning?
I'm very excited for sure, because, you know, now we really have to fight to come into the final. And I'm hoping on Matthias.
Thank you very much.
And then after, when I jump into the car, I try to do my best and have fun.
Thank you.
So, the Ocean X Prix, the players are in place, the scene is set.
30 seconds.
30 seconds. Scott Elkins there, the man that you can hear counting us down. He is our race director. The excitement is starting to build, and the race is going to get underway very shortly.
Here we go then, semi-final number 1. 2 places up for grabs in the final. One of these teams is going to go home. They're the 3 strongest teams of the weekend, so it's a disaster. It really is for whichever one doesn't make it. Waiting for a green light now. There are 14 World Championships across this grid. A lot of wheel spin on the inside line, a lot of wheel spin for all 3 cars. Ekstrom on the outside, Lusso got a good start. Christopherson gives Loeb a little nudge. Super tight in on that flag. Christopherson now coming up the inside of Loeb. This is where they're all going to try and engage the hyperdrive. Who has timed it right? You ride on board now. There, you hear the hyperdrive come in for Loeb. Going to gain some time on Christopherson. Outside line, Matthias Ekstrom looking for that damp sand and the grip. He's got the line to cut it across the other 2. Loeb is now ahead of Christopherson. Christopherson moves out wide. Can't get the cut back like he did in Saudi Arabia. Watch for the nose of the cars to dip as they get on the brakes. Christopherson is way out wide. Look where Christopherson's line was. Going to try and carry the pace all the way from the beach up. Closes the gap down on Loeb. Looks to the inside line. He's trying the same move he got in Saudi. He's almost done it again. Loeb, though, now has the inside line for the left-hander. Christopherson shuts the door on him and gets into P2, but it's Ekstrom who leads.
What a fascinating start that was. The other teams will be watching on, trying to gain as much information, but this is where it gets tight and tricky. This is going to be the advantage for Ekstrom as he goes out there in the front. But look at Rosberg trying to close the gap back. That is Christopherson in the car, and he is giving it full beat. He knows he needs to not let that gap ease away. He can't let them get out of sight.
How did Christopherson manage that again? He was so wide on the shot, Jenny, we couldn't see where he was. He was practically in the Atlantic. Popped the car back up over, but it gave him the line line into turn 2. It was absolutely crucial. And at the moment, the top qualifiers, Loeb and Gutierrez, are down in P3 into the drops now. Got to see, this is the first time we're seeing if there's going to be somewhere where you can make a pass. They're so much closer than Saudi. Without the dust, they're able to run close to each other. This is not going to be over until we see the checkered flag.
No, there are so many pinch points on this course yesterday as well. Remember, this is the first time we're seeing 3 cars racing each other on this track. And the pinch points are where they're not going to be able to pass. But then you've got bits like this, the scrubland. Is there extra traction you can gain? The car's bouncing all over the place. Fabulous shots.
Looking in the background now, going into the woods, there won't be anywhere here that you can make the pass. Look, Christopherson is right on the back of Ekstrom. Loeb is there as well. Any issues for anybody, and he'll be through. The visibility's good. Look, he can run super close. It's this next section now, so yes, this target's like a heads-up display, isn't it? Ekstrom here in front for Christopherson, over the tough to the left-hand side. Now, this is the section, Jenny, where we think there might be some alternate lines. Can someone make a pass?
Yeah, this will be the one where I think they're just waiting, aren't they? They're biding their time. The moment's there. So you can see Loeb at the back. He needs to find some pace. Christopherson right behind Ekstrom, and they're looking to see, where can I make the move? Is this the moment that they try the alternate strategy? You can go left or right at some of these split sections.
A lot of the teams yesterday were saying that Loeb's car looked really dialed over the bumps. Ekstrom has actually edged out a little bit of a gap through here. He's managed to pull just a few more car lengths. Loeb's car looks dialed over the bumps, and the other teams were scratching their heads about how they find those settings. They're not getting the kick from the rear. Loeb is closing the gap down on Christopherson, and as we say that, Christopherson's rear end kicks high in the air, but the 9-time World Rally Champion isn't close enough to capitalise.
Oh, the stability of these cars, you've got to dial it absolutely in. Over the course of the weekend, the setup is key. So we're coming down, as you can see, what a great shot that is. It shows how close the cars are. This is going to be a gallop down the beach straight, and this is where the switch could make a massive difference. Remember, these are the first drivers doing their lap. They're going to have to switch. Oh, look at that! What great shots!
Fantastic. Christopherson and Loeb hopping in the background past, but Ekstrom has this whole shot now. He's going to hand over to Jutta Kleinsmith. Christopherson going to hand over to Molly Taylor. Loeb to Cristina Gutierrez. Going to be fascinating to see now as, oh, he's looking for a way through. Christopherson really moved himself, showed himself in the mirrors there for Ekstrom. Ekstrom's just got to keep this tight on the inside line. There'll be no way through, but he is right there. Sand in the cockpit for Loeb. So that may be through the air vents at the top of the car. There's ventilation to keep the drivers cool, and where he's been so close behind, there's sand pouring in.
Oh, look at that shot. Just in the middle, you can see how close they all are. The challenge, the concentration, the focus going in on this is fascinating to see. The drivers compared to each other, absolutely.
Brilliant. Love that split screen on board and off board as well. You can see the look on Ekstrom's face. It's full concentration.
Now, can they find more traction? This is the point where they're going to go into the switch zone, which is tight in on the right. They're going along the sea on the left-hand side. You can see the exact lines they're taking. They want to be on that really hard sand. Gives them more grip in the car and enables them to get some speed. You can see Ekstrom is absolutely pulling out of there. He is doing really well. They've got to nail this. They're breaking points.
They have, certainly when they're running in a queue like this. Loeb almost picks up the back of Christopherson on the way in. Okay, so switch time now is up to 45 seconds. So I think all of these teams are well capable of getting that done quicker. We saw them yesterday. Most of these were waiting to be released. We saw some slow switches. 45 is plenty of time. Take a breath, get this right, get the other driver in, and give them the best chance. I think then, Jenny, it's going to be a hyperdrive race again down to turn 1, because we've seen passing is hard.
So you saw the first car in actually to stop was that of Christopherson. They were the first base, so this is going to be crucial to getting out. They must be first out. They've got to get past that 30-kilometre marker, and then they can go full speed again and maybe employ hyperdrive down that stretch. So all of the switches taking place. This is the first time we're seeing this weekend the switches. So you can see car door down on the Rosberg car first. Molly Taylor sitting there, strapping herself in, pulling it.
You can see in the background as well, Christopherson reached up and wiped the screen for her. They're doing the same in the background. They'll try not to use the wipers and potentially smear or scratch anything on. Remember, there's salt water in the air. If you've ever driven along the coast, you'll know that using the wipers, you can smear across the screen. They need the best visibility. They're all on board. They've all got it done in time. They'll be waiting to get released. Cannot waste a second. Christopherson gets away. Oh. What's happened? Come on, get going.
Oh, this is disaster for Jutta Kleinsmith. She is the championship driver, a late replacement in, but let's see what happens. So they've lost places. She's so frustrated in that car, you can see right now. But what happens? So we have got Molly Taylor out in the lead. Behind her, Gutierrez.
Yeah, hyperdrive on straight away. You can see in the graphic at the bottom, Gutierrez lights hers up as well. They actually left the switch zone side by side. For whatever reason, Molly Taylor managed to get away just a couple of car lengths in front. And that's it. Okay, so now Gutierrez is going out wide. Is she going to take the Christopherson line? She's going to drop off the sand and see. They'll have watched that first lap, Jenny, from the command centre, but I don't think they're going to be quite close enough.
No, they don't need to go down as far as the first driver did because they know that they're close. But look at this. This is so close to the racing. The sand kicking up, making it very difficult to get past at this point. But you can see Taylor is defending from Gutierrez, and Gutierrez trying to claw back.
Kleinschmidt so committed in the background. You saw her come off the beach. She was super committed, had the nose of the car buried. She's on the throttle again in the background. Going to get as close as she can to the back of this pack. We didn't manage to see any passes on the first lap, so it's going to be tricky. But what happened to Kleinschmidt in that switch zone? You could see she shook her head as she drove away. Ekstrom was waving. Gutierrez runs a bit wide, maybe looking to see if she can find a way through or get a bit better vision.
Now, this is where it's going to be about pressure. Can you retain the pressure? Can you withstand the pressure of being out front? Are you going to make a mistake? Because you can bet your bottom dollar that Gutierrez will be there and she'll be pressuring. She'll be thinking, right, how can I force her into messing this up? Because she needs to find an opportunity. And is this the opportunity?
Or Molly Taylor getting a little bit wild on the way into the drops yesterday. She had a problem here, got the car sideways and had to get on the throttle and pull it out of an almost roll situation. Rear end of the car kicking up high. Kleinschmidt is trying so hard to close the gap down. I'm gutted for them, really, because Kleinschmidt's been a brilliant stand-in for Claudia Hürtgen this weekend. And remember, the bottom car from this semi-final doesn't go through. These are the 3 quickest cars. The semi-finals here, it's the 3 quickest in semi-1 and then 4 to 6 in semi-2.
Yeah, so you can tell that this is a pressure point for Kleinschmidt. Ekstrom did such a good job out the start of this, and then that switch zone, so important. The other drivers going into semi-final 2 will be looking at this, studying it, making notes, going, okay, this is what we need to do to make sure we can win this race, or at least attempt to. The gap closing down. You can see it's less than a second now between Taylor out front and Gutierrez in that Lewis Hamilton X44 car. She's looking for a way through.
The pace is so evenly matched. Where's Kleinschmidt gone? Has Kleinschmidt taken a completely different... I think Kleinschmidt's gone completely off-piste as she tried to find an alternate line there. I wasn't even sure if she'd made it through. It is very wide. Took an alternate line. Yeah, she did. Look how wide the flags are at that point. So that's the first time we've seen someone do that. Hasn't paid off, but worth a look, Jenny. You know, you've got to risk it, haven't you?
Absolutely. So this section is very important. It's quite flat. There's lots of terrain, different lines being taken. You can see the way they're both approaching it quite differently, but now they're following each other once again. Gap down to 0.71.
X44 machine just looks absolutely dialed. Gutierrez is able to take that bumpier line that the other cars don't seem able to. She closes the gap down a little bit now on Molly Taylor. Gutierrez is right there behind. Surely going to have a look to the inside here. Taylor moves across. Gutierrez moving out to the right now. It's just a little bit too narrow through here. I'm not sure they won't be able to find a way past here, but that X44 car looks fantastic over the bumps.
It certainly does. And you're just looking towards the car in front of you, trying to keep the gap there, trying to keep it as small as possible, trying to force the point. This is the moment we've seen other cars making up a huge amount of time. Yes, it's only one path, but you can try and ram it through and almost ignore the bumps.
Well, that's what Kyle Leduc was doing yesterday, wasn't it? It literally was on a straight line. It looked like he was on the throttle and able to surf the top of the dunes. It was a brilliant drive from him all weekend. We're going to see him in the shootout. Can't wait to see that. But at the moment, it's looking tricky, isn't it? At Cupra with that brilliant start by Ekstrom and then dropping back. Real shame.
Real shame for them. So they're rounding this section. You can see Kleinschmidt just trying to get onto the back of the other two. At the moment, though, it is Molly Taylor who leads the way. Gutierrez in second place. The top 2 teams going through to the final. The sand flicking up as they head towards the sea approach. This will be their first chance to get a glance at the Atlantic now. Will we see some peculiar lines here? We could well do. You can see from on board in the At Cooper car, the battle out front for those 2 places is fantastic. Do you need to even worry about being first? You can get through. And look how close they are into the sea. This is fantastic racing, fantastic technique. You can see Molly Taylor there just wringing the neck out of the Nico Rosberg car. She wants to finish in style. She wants to get the win. And it is once again another win for the Rosberg car. It is Molly Taylor who crosses the line. Congratulations to them, booking their place in the final and making history once again for Christopherson and Taylor.
Great drive by them. It's X44 who go through in P2. Gutierrez unable to make a pass. Kleinschmidt actually closed the gap down big time for P3, but whatever happened in the switch zone cost them a place in the final. Great first semi-final. Semi-final 2 will be interesting. I say P4 through to P6 going to be in that one. It's JBXE, Veloce Racing and Excite Energy Racing. Really keen as well to see the shootout race, which I think has the potential to be fire.
Oh, it certainly does, because we've got 3 teams in there who you would not have expected to be in there, quite frankly. So let's just recap the results from the first semi-final. It was Ekstrom, Kleinschmidt in 3rd, Loeb, Gutierrez 2nd, and Christopherson Taylor in 1st place. The top 2 teams going through. So it's a battle that we've seen many times before and we'll see many times in the future again. It is Lewis Hamilton's team versus Nico Rosberg's team on the beach in Senegal, going through to a place in the final. Congratulations.
I'm delighted to be joined now by X44 team founder Lewis Hamilton. Lewis, how have you been enjoying the Ocean X Prix from Senegal so far?
It looks amazing, and I'm really just so proud of what the team and what Christina and Seb have been doing. It looks beautiful there, and I love that the work that so far has been done.
It has been fantastic, and they've been doing very well. I'm joined now by the Team X44 drivers, Cristina Gutierrez and Sebastian Loeb. Great to have you. Now, you both qualified brilliantly. Looked like a spectacular day, qualified on top. How was it for you?
Yeah, it was really nice day for us. We are very happy to yesterday, because it's a really difficult day, but at the finish we are in P1, so it was really nice.
With such a brilliant performance yesterday, Seb, all eyes are on you guys. Are you feeling the pressure this morning?
Yeah, for sure. You have always a pressure when you start a race, especially because we had a very good speed yesterday. We know that we can win today, but another way, it's the start in a semi-final is crucial. So we need to be able to be ahead on the first corner, and that's sometimes complicated. So we'll try our best. We'll push, and we will see.
Lewis, I know you've been watching the team closely. How do you assess their qualification performances?
It's been amazing. It's been amazing to see both Seb and Christina work together, and to see the growth. Naturally, when you're driving a new car, coming to terms with the new equipment you have, the different places that we're going to, the different challenges, understanding from the 2 drivers how much more technical this track is compared to Saudi, for example. So it's really amazing to see them both performing at such a high level, and it's exciting for me to watch. You know, this is the first time I've ever had a team, and to be a part of something like this that's climate focused, I think is really exciting.
Lewis, you mentioned climate focus. Extreme is quite unique, racing with a purpose. What kind of an impact do you feel that it could make on the motorsport world?
See, that's actually really the thing that drew me to this series is that it is climate focused, and I think if you look at where the future of sport, it's a real great platform. I think what Alejandro and his team have done, providing a platform where we can push the technology, we can go to these different places and raise awareness for the certain issues that we're facing with the climate. At the same time, we're pushing this technology forward, which I think will firstly show that the other series, Formula One and the other big series within the sport, can definitely take on learnings from us. And I think again we're pushing the battery technology forwards, which already the new series car that we're going to have next year is going to have more power. And this pushing the technology, I think, is very important.
Pushing the boundaries in every way. Well, your team are about to race in the semi-final one. I wish you all the very best of luck. Thank you, Lewis.
Thank you.
So that means your finalists are the Rosberg X Racing Team, it is X44, it is the Veloce Racing Team, and JBXE. What a stellar lineup we have for you going into this 4-car final.
Now, grid play, of course, the fans have been voting for which team they want to get the first pick for their grid position. If you don't make it through to the final, you can donate your votes to somebody else. So guess who they all donated their votes to? Yep, not RXR or X44, who've been having a brilliant season so far. So the other teams are going to be thinking, thank you very much. We're going to peg you back a little bit. And they all gave their stand to Veloce. Veloce, of course, had a shocker in Saudi Arabia when P9, having not even completed a session. Jenny, totally understandable why the other teams did that.
Yeah, I love this though. It's a real camaraderie. It's such a very close paddock, isn't it? They're all travelling together. They're all having a bit of a giggle. It was a tight run thing, but you can see them there laughing, giggling away. And Veloce, the one, Jean-Eric Verne in the background there, one of the co-founders of the team, of course, Formula E champion twice.
Interesting, when they chose their position, they didn't take inside. They went for slot number 3. You could see X44 chose 2. JBXE went for the outside line, and that left RXR with the inside. Lots to play out in the start.
And what great semi-finals we've had. 2 absolute crackers. We had the shootout race as well. You can just see these Odyssey 21 cars were made to rumble in this great background.
This is the first time we're going to see 4 cars in a race together, Jenny. I think everybody was worried, would we see any passing? When you look back and think we hadn't seen passing in Saudi Arabia. Now we're at the point where we have seen passing. We've seen a pass in turn 1. We've seen passes in the infield in the last few corners. There are options. Now the cars are all super quick. It's going to be even harder to pass, but it's still on the cards.
Fascinating, and the motivation, of course, of why we are here for the Ocean X Prix. Now it's time to go out down as we build up for our final race. Layla Anna Lee is getting all the information, and she is also speaking to all 4 teams before they head off to the line.
For the final time today, we are on the grid for the Ocean X Prix in Senegal, ahead of our final race. Here on the inside line is Rosberg X Racing's Molly Taylor. Molly, thank you for taking that off right now. You guys chose that inside line. Is it a pivotal choice?
We didn't have a choice. We were last on the grid place, so this is where we ended up, and this is where we'll start.
And how do you feel about that line going in?
Yeah, I mean, it worked for Johan this morning, and I mean, I think who knows what will happen out there, so we'll get as good a start as we can and go from there.
We look forward to it, thank you. And here on my left, we have X44, who came first in qualifiers. Cristina Gutiérrez preparing herself ahead of the race. You guys had an amazing qualifier. Can we expect the same today?
Yeah, we try to push a lot, especially at the beginning. So we will see who wins, but at finish, staying in the final is a good position.
We look forward to it. 3 women on the start line today, and 1 man. That man is Stefan Sarrazin, driving for Veloce Racing. Stefan, it was neck and neck earlier today in the semi-finals. Can we expect the same, or are you looking to form a big gap early?
Yeah, I will try to take the lead at the first corner. So let's see if I can do it with a good turn 1. And after I will push hard. You know, we have nothing to lose and we want to be on the front, so big push.
We look forward to seeing you race as well. And right behind them, ready on the grid, is Michaela Allen-Kutelinski for JBXE. Michaela, I see you very focused there. How are you feeling ahead of the final?
Yeah, just like you say, very focused. Just focusing on trying to do my best for the final.
Thank you very much. We look forward to it. And that is your starting grid ahead of our final race today.
Well, everybody with the same idea. They're getting down to turn 1 first of all. 4 drivers in the cars. The other 4 are going to be down in the command centres with the rest of the teams and really feeling the pressure.
Welcome to the command centre. We are in Dakar, Senegal for our Ocean X Prix, and it's ready for the final. Let's welcome our teams. First up, it's Rosberg X Racing.
3 minutes.
Team X44. Veloce Racing. And JBXE. Our teams are set and ready to race.
More applause there in the command centre, wasn't there, for the underdogs, definitely. And they're only underdogs because they've not been in the final before, but first time for Veloce Racing and for JBXC. They were, I think everybody's looking for them to try and stick it to X44 and RXR. X44 and RXR have had 2 clean events now. It's going to give them a pretty commanding run in the championship, Jenny. And yeah, they'll be keen to upset them, won't they?
I absolutely love this split camera angle. We can see every single team. Nico Rosberg on the left of your screen there. He's the boss. He's the one running that car. Molly Taylor, Johan Kristoffersen, our first Desert X Prix winners. So pressure building now. This is the moment when you've got to calm yourself, gather your thoughts and work out exactly how you're going to tackle this beast.
I love seeing Chadwick there, just getting the balaclava on. She was just about to pull the race suit up. There's this process that you go through as a driver, pulling on the gloves, doing up the crash helmet, getting yourself good to go. We're nearly ready.
2 minutes, 2 minutes.
Sebastian, after seeing some fantastic semi-finals, we're looking forward to an intense final. How are you feeling?
I feel okay. For sure, it was really intense in semi-final. So it was a tough battle. It's always depending a bit from the start. Then it's difficult to overtake, but it was a good battle in the semi. So we will try our best now. The goal was to be in the final. We are in the final, so now we will go for it.
We're seeing a lot of people use hyperdrive on that beach straight, but it looks like it can be won anywhere. Is there a pivotal spot on the course for you?
Yeah, I think the strategy will depend a bit of the situation of the moment. Usually we use it on the beach. It's there that we gain the most of time because it's a long straight. So, but I don't know, honestly, at the moment what I will do. I will
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Interesting. Sebastian Loeb's playing it cool about when to use hyperdrive, and that suggests that either he is planning on waiting until the end of his run. I think if you're in the car second, depending on how far back you are, if you can close the gap to the pack and then use it on the run to the finish line, that is a great tactic. But it's a question of whether anybody is brave enough not to use hyperdrive on the front straight, Jenny, off the start, and just wait to use it at the end of the run. We're going to see. But yeah, Loeb being a bit cagey there. Also super cool. Is he the coolest man in motorsport? Was he wearing a cap signed by himself? I wasn't quite sure.
I love it. So many personalities, so many huge names in motorsport, and one race to decide what is going to happen. This is the Ocean X Prix. 4 cars on the line. The first time we've ever seen 4 cars racing to the end. What will happen? We're about to find out. Cars waiting. Looking for the signal. And they're green, off they go. The cars bury themselves in. Your starting position so key to this. And look, there's contact between the two. How are 4 going to cars go round here? Well, it's going to be a disaster for one of them. You can see the Veloce team cutting off the worst. They've lost a lot of pace. It is the JBXC team. They are out in front and hyperdrive is being used. But look at that. On the outside, you have the Molly Taylor in the Rosberg car. She is doing a brilliant job of trying to get out in front. And there we go. Gutierrez just using her hyperdrive as well. Which one of them is going to manage to get down to it? This is a fascinating challenge behind them. Veloce has managed to make space and gone over from the Jensen Button. Oh, they've gone twisting through and not taken the line they wanted to. Forced out wide. This is a real good battle between the two of them because they're not having to take the line they wanted. You can see there, disaster there for the Hamilton car. It's been pushed out really wide, lost so much time. So out in front, well done to that car. It was a really great challenge, and Molly Taylor has taken the lead.
I think X44 have retired, Jenny, in the background. I reckon that contact might have broken the steering. They pushed off really wide, and we've got a problem as well for JBXC. Sebastian Loeb pulls the balaclava off. He was just getting ready to go, and now JBXC look to me like they've only got 2-wheel drive. The wheels were spinning like mad, so the contact looks like it might have taken 2 cars out, and our first 4-car battle might be down to 2 already. Arlene Kotlinski got the start and then was blown away down the straight. I wonder if she... look at that! Rear wheel completely broken off, so it is 2-wheel drive, and that's why suspension broken on the back of that car. She went from P1 to P4 down beach straight as everybody else engaged hyperdrive and blasted past her.
So this is Molly Taylor out in front for Rosberg X Racing. Got to gather themselves now. They know what's happening behind them. They've got to go carry on and see what they can do. This inside side is Gutierrez. This is the X44 car. She's desperately trying to find some drive, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen. So two-car race at the moment. This is Veloce chasing down Stefan Sarazan, chasing down Molly Taylor.
There was sand flying up in the background for Gutierrez there, so wherever she is, again, the car is either beached or stuck, potentially broken steering. That contact into the first couple of corners. We'll take a look back after the race, I'm absolutely sure of that. But yeah, Taylor now needs to keep Sarazan behind and just get Johan out in front. The winners of round one are looking pretty strong here, aren't they?
Tell you what, you say that, but Veloce had a dog of a day. They've had a dog of a weekend last time out at the Desert X Prix. They're desperate to try and claw back points, and this is an opportunity for them. They've not shown their true pace all weekend, I don't think. This is the moment. They went for a switch tactic, so for them it's Sarazan in the car, and they're chasing down Taylor right now.
The reason they were able to do that, Jenny, is they've got two great starters in Sarazan and in Jamie Chadwick. They're both racers, so they can both take the start. Now, what some of the other teams have done is they bet in the semi-final that they want their fastest starter in the semi. If you go out before the semi, you lose the chance to score points in the final. So they've gambled on definitely get to the final and then see what happens in the final. Veloce, with two great starters, have got that option, so it's a good choice. Sarazan pushing hard, look, flies over the crest now. Maybe Veloce have dialed that car in just a little bit more. Looking forward to seeing what Chadwick can do with it. In tight on the flag on the side. So Sarazan now is going to have to think about an alternate line, and remember, he managed to make a pass with an alternate line in the semi-final.
Yeah, I was just wondering if he was going to do the same thing again, and look at the amount of speed he manages to carry in this section. This is where he managed to get a little bit of an advantage last time out, and he's certainly closing down on Taylor in front of him. Really, the gap is coming down, and he's going to have to work out at exactly what point he pounces. He wants to make a lasting overtake to stick.
I think this run up now to the right-hander as they head back towards the beach could potentially be a place, but the trouble he's got here is that Molly Taylor is absolutely rapid. Now, before, he was chasing down Christine Gutierrez, and she was doing a really good job, but Sarazan was quicker, so he was able to use an alternate line and close the gap. A bit like what we saw with Carl Leduc in the shootout. He was a quicker driver, he was able to close it down. Now, Sarazan this time is chasing Molly Taylor, who's very fast. Taking an alternate line is potentially going to cost him time, and he's not close enough to make a dive, which is where we've seen some passing earlier on in the weekend. Taylor looks in the mirror, she knows he's there.
Yeah, absolutely, crawling all over the back of her. She's got to be very aware. It's such a difficult skill to be able to look ahead, to attack, but also to defend and make sure you haven't got the person behind you creeping up. So this is the last stretch as they turn right towards the Atlantic Ocean, and then it's the long drive down to the switch zone. And this is where you could find that Taylor is a little bit exposed. If we can see Sarazan get a bit more traction, look, both going down towards the sea edge. They know the sand there is more compact. They can get a bit more grip, and it looks like Taylor's just being able to extend her lead at the moment as she careers towards, comes inside where the sand's a bit more bumpy to that switch zone.
Sarazan drops down, look onto the damp sand, the flat sand, trying to close the gap. It is super close behind. They're going to be as late on the brakes as they dare. And we've got a red flag.
Both cars, please stop in your switch positions. Stop in your switch positions. Do not do the switch. We're doing a recovery. Please stop in your switch positions. Red flag.
So red flag, that was Scott Elkins, the race director. They've red flagged, and that's because we've got two cars out on course, and they're considering they're in a dangerous position, therefore they're going to stop. Quite what's going to happen now, I'm not sure. We're at the switch zone, so in theory they can restart from there. But they could also declare the race depending on the length that's gone so far. So we'll have to hold tight and see what happens here. Drivers are getting in anyway, Jenny. You know, in theory, they could release them from here in the order they were in and go again.
Let's have a little listen. Just see if they're saying anything, passing any tips. This is the less stressed switch we've seen because they're just being able to chill and relax. You can see that in the command center, everybody is there, and you've just got to carry on at this point in time, haven't you? Kristoffersen now in the car. Johan Kristoffersen, three-time FIA World Rallycross champion, and he will have to go head-to-head. This is going to be one matchup with Jamie Chadwick, 2019 W Series champion, but Sarazan not getting out the car yet.
Okay.
We are expecting to have Chadwick coming into the car. They haven't done the switch. They have done the switch for Kristoffersen, so they've all got to find out exactly what's going to happen. I tell you what, while they're doing that, Andrew, worth us just having a little chat about what happened in the incident, because the start was pretty impressive from all of them, but 4 cars along a beach stretch was always going to challenge them, wasn't it?
Let's, we're going to be able to have a look back at it now. Okay, so Wonder how far. Okay, watch now. Arlen Kotlinski, who is in the JBXE machine, got a great
I just need
start.
everyone to stand by for a second. Let us get this
Listen to
recovery
Scott
underway,
Elkins as well.
and then I'll give you further directions. Okay. I'll give you
we're waiting for further
directions.
direction from race
This should be a
control.
fast recovery, but unfortunately the course was blocked, so we need to stand
there we
by,
go.
please.
Course blocked. Now watch on the outside. X44 have dropped down low. They were then going to do a cutback or try and get a cutback on the inside line of RXR. RXR, there's a tiny bit of contact there, and I think the steering is broken because, the car goes off to the right. You can see, I think the front right wheel is hanging off. Now, where do they rejoin? What happens to No, I think JBXE's already two-wheel drive. Look at the wheel's gone on the rear, so now the transmission's broken. You've got a three-wheel drive at best. The wheel is facing the wrong way. So Arlen Kotlinski got that amazing start, but where are we looking back from here? Passed by all three cars on the air. There we go. Look, drops to the back of the pack. We're looking back from Veloce's car here. Oh, actually, did it? I reckon it broke as she climbed the lip of the beach. So as Michaela Arlen Kotlinski's gone up from the low beach to the high, she's crossed that sideways and pushed maybe the toe link off the rear of the car. So she's doing well to hold on to it this far. But look on the right-hand side, Gutierrez was already going off-roading. More off-roading than we've been for the rest of the weekend. I mean, that is the aim of the game, but just not that far. That's not an alternate line. That's a disaster.
I'm amazed, actually, that Arlen Kotlinski was able to hold on to that car for as long as she did, as you said. It did look like that jump really damaged the rear end of that car. You can see she's carrying on, trying as best she can. What she doesn't realise is that tyre is facing in the wrong direction.
She's got no drive to the rear right, and it's facing 90 degrees to the road, so it's acting like an anchor, basically. With that and probably a broken drive shaft at the rear as well, you then got all the torque from the electric motors just spinning the wheels up, and unfortunately the car ended up beached on the racing line. So it's a bit of a shame. That's the reason for the red flag, is it was a blocked course. That Gutierrez actually gets clear of the course. Arlen Kotlinski on board now. Look how much she's having to fight the amount of steering angles, Jenny. You'd never see more than 180 degrees of steering input in a normal situation. Just here and there, maybe, but not going down the straight.
Yeah, it just shows how much she's being thrown around.
Attention all teams, this is race control. I would like for you to put in your second driver in the car, and then we will proceed to the start zone, and we will do a standing start restart.
Oh, wow, there we go. So they're going to send the cars back to the start and have another restart.
I like it.
Same grid positions as initial. Same grid positions as initial.
Well, you're hearing the information just as we are. Hoping you guys are hearing race control at home as well. We're going to head down and have a catch-up with Molly Taylor, see what information she can pass on to us about what happened in that first lap.
Restart.
Molly, you had an absolutely phenomenal run there with Stefan Sarrazin hot on your tail.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I haven't really done anything like that, so I didn't know what to expect and what to prepare for. So it was wild coming into turn one, but we seemed to get a really good run up the straight. So at least I had the inside line for turn one. So I think that was the most important thing. And then after that, just trying to manage it from there.
We've just got news that we're going to be going again from a standing start. How does that make you feel, considering you came in on a lead?
Oh, look, I mean, it's a shame to have an advantage and then have that loss, but I have so much faith in this guy, Johan. He pulls off, all the things that no one thinks are possible. So, look, I think, it's a shame to lose our advantage, but Johan's the man for the job.
We heard you turn to your team there and ask what happened to the other two. You left them far behind. Did you use your hyperdrive on the beach straight, and was that always the plan?
Yeah, I used the hyperdrive probably like 10 seconds in, just after sort of we got out of the really heavy sand. It's kind of the plan, but it was also just going on feel and trying to see where all the cars were, and then I knew it was about track position, so that was the first priority, to try and get that and defend from there.
With Stefan hot on your tail, did you feel he was a threat, or were you comfortable out in front there?
Oh, like I knew he was on my tail, and I knew I couldn't back off too much. I was trying to be conservative enough to not make a mistake after being in the lead, but I knew I couldn't back off too much, because I make one small mistake or back off a bit too much, and he'll take it. So trying to protect my position, not lose too much time, but also not take any risks.
Well, it's great to watch you race a brilliant first lap. Congrats.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Brilliant stuff from Molly Taylor there. Teammate to Johan Kristoffersen. They had a problem in that car. Rosberg X Racing contact and all sorts of damage to other cars, but they managed to get around, and they will restart now.
It was interesting what Molly was saying. I'm not used to that kind of thing. I've never done it before. And that, of course, is a reference to the fact that she is an absolutely epic rally driver, but she doesn't race side by side with people. So suddenly she's looking in her mirrors. If you've got someone behind you in a mirror in a rally, it means you've got a problem and they've caught you up 2 minutes. The cars go one at a time. This time round, she's looking in the mirror and Stefan Sarazan is all over her. So she did really well, you know, without that race experience, has managed just to hold on to the position.
Take your positions.
So cars being told to take to the start grid and their positions. Jamie Chadwick looking so relaxed and so calm. The command centre, a lot of chat going on there. Kevin Hansen looking very disappointed in the JBXE team. He won't get a chance to go out now. Sebastian Loeb, once again, misfortune coming to the Lewis Hamilton X44 team. So it will be a dog race between Rosberg X Racing and Veloce Racing. I have to say, we've seen Kristoffersen struggle with starts.
This will be a standing start with the same procedure. So it'll be 3 minutes, then the 15 seconds, then the green light. So it's a standing start procedure as normal.
Okay, so Scott Elkin saying same procedure as normal. That's two of the most chilled out drivers you'll ever see. I've been impressed with how relaxed Jamie Chadwick looks when she's driving. Kristoffersen, we know, is a machine. I'm keen to see what they do down the front straight. Molly Taylor was saying immediately, don't use it in the deep sand. I think Michaela Arlen-Kotlinski got a good start and then potentially used the hyperdrive a little bit early. Either that, or she thought, I've got the start, I'm going to save it until the end of the lap.
But the 3-minute procedure.
So we're 4 minutes off the start. But whatever happened, she got swallowed up. 3 cars came past her down the straight and she ended up in traffic. So you mustn't use it too early. It's kind of... It's a bottle thing, really, Jenny. You know, do you bottle it? When do you go? Because if you're the second person to go, in theory, the momentum gets you past. But, yeah, we'll see.
You've got to pick it absolutely correctly, haven't you? Just make sure you make the right decision. Right, Chadwick versus Kristoffersen. Kristoffersen said earlier today he doesn't want to have to battle from the back. Well, it's going to be a 2-car race to see who wins 1 lap around this fantastic 6.1-kilometre Senegal track. And you've got 2 champions in their own fields coming together in something totally different to them. And they're going to have to duke it out for 1 lap. So let's go back down and get another interview. Layla Annalee running around and working hard for us to bring you all the latest.
Kevin, it's been quite a dramatic final.
3 minutes, 3 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of contact in the first turn, but at waypoint 1, and then I think I didn't see quite clear on the TV, but there was some more contact down at waypoint number 3, and I think us and X44 got damaged. I'm not sure exactly what happened, but I think there was quite some incidents, and unfortunately we are out, and so is X44, so really bummed.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So that was... It's just great, isn't it? This whole event. I mean, there's heartbreak, there's highs, there's lows. That's what we love about motorsport. It can be such a mixture of emotions, a roller coaster for everybody.
I am gutted that we had a 4-car final that only made it to turn 1, which is really unlucky when you think we've seen a few crashed cars, we've seen a few small issues for cars. We haven't really seen any with broken suspension, and somehow 2 cars managed to do that to themselves before turn 1. So, you know, over on the right-hand side, Veloce having a chat.
There was a right on Mother's meeting happening there. Jean-Eric Verne here for the weekend. He is one of the co-founders of that team. And look, they're very far apart. Under 2 minutes, says Scott Elkin. Now we are waiting for 2 minutes. So just a reminder, red flag. 2 of the cars going out. It was the JBXE and X44 teams going out. So we'll do a restart, a 1-lap shootout to see who will be the winner of this Ocean X Prix.
Timing screens have just shown us green flag, meaning that the track is clear. The track is hot and we are good to go. Jamie Chadwick looks super chilled, doesn't she? You see her in single-seater racing, Jenny, you never get to see the facial expressions. That's one of my favourite things about racing in cars. And, you know, even circuit racers tend to wear full-face helmets, but rally and rallycross, you know, the open face is much more the norm, and it's great for us because you get to see some pretty interesting facial expressions.
I've known Jamie for a long time. We share the same birth date, weirdly enough, and when she was racing in the Ginetta Junior Series, we first got chatting donkeys years ago. Now she's just turned 23 and she's really coming into her own when it comes to these different series that she's taking on.
1 minute to go. Who's going to get down to this end of the course first? Down to the cut into the super sector. I mean, this could be an opportunity, couldn't it, potentially, to set that super sector time. Kyle Leduc still with the fastest time at the moment. Getting ready for it. The teams have remained, even those that have got no further part to play.
Yep, they have, because they want the best seat in the circuit, and this is what it is.
30 seconds, 30 seconds.
30 seconds to go.
Kristoffersen then on the run from the inside line. It's going to be difficult to get that door slammed in his face by Chadwick, but she'll have a go if she gets a good start.
She certainly will.
15 seconds, 15 seconds.
So here we go. One final lap to decide who will be the winner of the Ocean X Prix. It's Chadwick for Veloce. It is Kristoffersen for Rosberg Racing. And it's time to get going. And they are off, digging into the sand. A heavy, heavy start, but it looks like Kristoffersen might have the better. He'll go round, he's got the inside line. JB Chadwick needs to get some muscle out here. When are they going to use the hyperdrive? Let's have a little listen to see if one of them... Oh, look at that, a little bit of contact there. And I think we might have had a hyperdrive from Kristoffersen. It's certainly saying that Chadwick's using her hyperdrive now as we go on board with Chadwick. She knows what she's got to do. She's got to try and get into the second turn first. But at the moment, it's Kristoffersen with the lead as they race down this long stretch, the beach stretch, the Atlantic on their left, Lac Rose to their right. Who will make it? You can see a little jumper, slow, decreasing in speed as they take that right-hand turn. Flick the car around. Get some aggression as you go back onto the throttle. Get more pace going, and unfortunately for Jamie Chadwick, it's Kristoffersen that leads the way.
Yeah, very equal start at the end, as you see in the background, the beached car of Lewis Hamilton's X44 squad. Sebastian Loeb not getting to take his lap. Sand pouring into the top of Chadwick's. There's still sand in the air. She's 100 metres or so behind Kristoffersen, and still the sand is pouring in. Or rear end of the car kicks up really high for Chadwick, but look how relaxed she is in the car. But for Johan, job done. Johan went slightly earlier with the hyperdrive than I thought he would. We could still hear the wheel spin. When you can hear the chattering noises in the cars, that means the wheels are still spinning. When you hear the RPM of the motor rise linear, that means they've got the traction. He went with the hyperdrive. There was a little bit of contact between them, but yeah, he's out front.
Chadwick, so much to learn about these Extreme E cars, of course. It was the first time she raced one of these last time out in her semi-final round. She did a good showing there, although they had that problem with the pit limiter. So she's gaining experience all the time, but she's a canny racer. She knows what she's thinking. She knows what she wants to achieve. And now the back end just kicking out as she goes down the jumps. Her seating position very low, and Kristoffersen so tall. Looks so different.
Off the crest there. Chadwick's getting into this off-road business, isn't she? And I tell you what, if you're going to follow somebody, it's not a bad person to follow Johan Kristoffersen. She'll be keeping an eye on his braking points when she can see them. He is breaking away just a little bit. He's got a 5-second advantage now. Chadwick takes a slightly different line across this section. Into the woods goes Kristoffersen round the right, so he will know now that it's a case of managing it if he wants to, Jenny. I think, you know, even if Chadwick can catch up, it's going to be very, very hard to pass. We've seen a number of cars with big impacts this weekend that slowed them down. You know, he's not going to back off fully, absolutely no way, but he will manage it from here on in.
And I think Jamie Chadwick has to hope that the man who is almost impeccable makes a mistake, and you never know what can happen in this. We've seen it already today, that some things just creep up and all of a sudden you have a window of opportunity. You've got to be in the right place to take it, and unfortunately for Chadwick, she seems to be dropping back a little bit again now. Over 8 seconds the difference, but this maybe is the moment where they can really get some acceleration going.
Well, before we get to the end of this lap, I think it's worth just a little a chat about the podium, because JBXE's car got further into the lap than Lewis Hamilton's X44. So I actually think Jenson Button's team is going to get a podium with Kevin Hansen and Michaela Arlen-Kotlinski. That's to be confirmed, but the timing screens are certainly showing them in P3 and have been since that incident. So they won't be complaining at that. They'd rather have gone and raced for it, of course.
I wonder if Arlen-Kotlinski in the back of their mind thought, right, I've just got to get this car around as much as I can, because if I can do that, I could get a podium. So it's really good thinking, Andrew, that she might have gone, right, drag it, just drag it.
When we've seen the results previously, if you remember in Saudi Arabia when we saw the crash for Sarrazin and the crash for Hurtgen, they were both a DNF, but Sarrazin was classified behind Hurtgen because she got further around the lap. So I'm pretty sure that's what they'll do here. So it should be a podium for JBXE.
Wow. He will be sitting there in LA thinking, oh, this stuff's all right, isn't it?
That's the weirdest podium I've ever won. But yeah, still good stuff.
I don't know. He's won some pretty weird podiums, in fairness, in Formula One in his career.
It's coming around the right-hander then towards the end of the lap. Kristoffersen out front. Super sector look has gone to Segi TV Chip Ganassi Racing, 150.891 for Kyle Leduc, and that was done in Q1. The track has got harder and harder. You can see here it's been cut up. This one has been a real roller coaster from start to finish this weekend. Brilliant track design by Timo Scheider. Great driving by all the teams. Wonderful to see as well. Redemption for Veloce here. P9 last time out. They're going to drag a brilliant result out of this weekend. But on the beach straight, there it is. Rosberg X Racing. Johan Kristoffersen comes down towards the finish line. He is going to take win number 2. It's 2 from 2 for him and Molly Taylor. Absolutely brilliant performance again. Pretty much faultless all weekend. And P2 in the background is going to go to Veloce Racing. Jamie Chadwick going to take a podium here on board with Kristoffersen. Hugs all round. There is Nico Rosberg. Here comes Chadwick. Getting good result for them. P9 last time out. And this time, second step of the podium.
So this is the start. As you can see, 2 lots of 2. JB on the outside. Now, is there contact here? There's obviously contact here with Veloce, but is this the moment where the wheel's actually already gone? We're trying to see, and yes, certainly the front right is snaking around a lot. That's where the Rosberg team get in front. And you can see, yeah,
it's
already.
Yeah, it's gone there, Jenny, at the end of the straight. But I think you might be right that potentially she was fighting that from further down the straight. A little bit of contact with X44. The front right wheel is off the car, and despite Gutierrez trying to drag it back on the track, actually she had to go straight on.